Hi, I'm starting the Gemara from Pei Daled Amud Aleph, second line from the bottom. Rava Ta'ame. Rava is consistent with his own reasoning. This is in reference to the fact that Rava has said that we can't assess nezek, where you have to figure out the person's value as a slave. We don't do that in Bavel. So Rava is consistent with his own reasoning. Amar Rava, Nizkei shor b'shor, v'nizkei shor ba'adam, govino to b'Bavel. If an animal injures an animal, or a person injures an animal, we can collect those. We can collect that money in Bavel. Nizkei adam ba'adam, v'nizkei adam b'shor, ein govino to b'Bavel. But in a case where a person injures a person or an animal injures a person, so in the case of human injury, those monies cannot be collected in Bavel. Ma'ishna nizkei adam ba'adam v'nizkei adam b'shor delo. What's the difference among these cases? Why are adam ba'adam and adam b'shor different such that they cannot be collected in Bavel? Elohim ba'inan v'leka. We require judges, and there are none. We require qualified judges who are able to make these kinds of decisions, and as we subsequently learned a lot about, this does not apply in Bavel. Nizkei shor b'shor v'shor ba'adam nami Elohim ba'inan v'leka. But isn't it the case that when it comes to an animal being harmed, that you also need judges, and there are none? Ella, rather, ma'ishna shor b'shor v'shor ba'adam d'shlichutahu ka'avdinan. We talked a lot about this phrase, shlichutahu ka'avdinan. Shlichutahu ka'avdinan means they are carrying out their mission, or carrying out that which they were sent to do. So in this case, what we're saying is that the judges in Bavel can sometimes do things on the authority of those in Israel who empowered them to do those things. So Avdinan Shlichutahu is a way of saying that the judges in Bavel actually can adjudicate a case because they are acting on the authority of the people in Israel, the rabbis in Israel who gave them that authority. So this phrase then means, rather, what's the difference between shor b'shor and shor ba'adam, the cases where an animal gets injured, d'shlichutahu ka'avdinan, where in those cases they are fulfilling this mission, mididahava hoda'ot v'halva'ot, just like with hoda'ot and halva'ot, which are cases which also permission was given to be adjudicated outside of Eretz Yisrael. These are cases, essentially both are loan cases. Hoda'ot is where someone admits to owing someone some amount of money, and there's a dispute about how much. Halva'ot is, I say you loan me money, and I say that I loaned you money and you say that you didn't, so those are cases that need to be adjudicated. And we make an exception in those cases, so why not say we make an exception? So maybe we can say we make an exception in these cases as well. Adam ba'adam ve'adam b'shor nami shlichutahu ka'avdinan. So okay, but if you can say that with the animal cases, then why not say that with the cases where a person gets injured also? Midei dahava hoda'ot v'halva'ot, just like hoda'ot v'halva'ot. Amrei, the response to this would be, ki ka'avdinan shlichutahu b'midei dekiman begave, b'midei delo kiman begave lo avdinan shlichutahu. We enable them to adjudicate cases in Bavel when it's a matter about which we're certain. But when it's a matter about which we're not certain, lo kiman begave, they are not able to carry out, they're not able to say that they can adjudicate these cases just by carrying out sort of the shlichut of those in Eretz Yisrael. And we're going to see more about what it is that you're certain or not certain of. Amri, so the response to this would be, shor b'shor v'shor ba'adam nami lo kiman begave. Knowing the value of an animal, essentially these cases where an animal gets hurt, those also are not so certain. Why would you say that that's a very certain amount? Ela po chazi hechat mizdavane Torah b'shuka. Rather, go out and see where they sell an ox in the shuk, in the market. In other words, no, this is a very certain amount. You can just figure out how much a ox sells for in the shuk, so that's why that's a certain case, whereas the value of a person is uncertain. Adam be'adam ve'adam b'shor nami po chazi hechati mizdavne avde b'shuka. But then the Gemara objects and says, no, people getting injured. So in that case, also go out and see where an eved, where a slave is being sold in the shuk. The od tashlum kefel v'tashlum arba'a v'chamisha teketzi na'avi shlichutahu. And furthermore, if it's the case that with things that are kimlan begave, with things about which we're certain that those can be adjudicated outside, even outside of Eretz Yisrael, even in Bavel, right? If that's really possible, then in that case, we should say that Tashlum Kefel, Tashlum Arba, all of these, Tashlum Kefel is double payment, Arba and Chamisha are 4 and 5 times payments. Those are fixed and so known. So shouldn't those also be able to be adjudicated in Bavel? But in fact, we know, or the Gemara knows, that they are not. So that is a challenge. I'll put a question mark there also. Amri, the response to that would be, the defense from that would be, Kika avdina shlichutahu b'mamona. They are allowed to adjudicate cases of mamon, but knas lo of dinan shlichutahu, but not of knas. Mamon, as we've discussed before, is when you're giving someone back the value of what has been lost, and a knas is a punishment, a fine, and so they're not allowed to adjudicate fines in Bavel. And the 4 and 5 times payments, they may be fixed, but they're fines. They're knas and not mamon. Adam ba'adam de mamonahu na'avid shlichutahu. Sorry, I'll make that an exclamation point. So a person injuring a person, which is a case of mammon, so right, that's actually paying up the value. So they should be allowed to do this, to adjudicate these cases in Bavel. You haven't proven to me yet why there's a difference such that these cases cannot be adjudicated in Bavel. It just doesn't make sense. So the Gemara tries again. Kika avdinan shlichutahu b'milta deshchicha. When the cases in which they can adjudicate, those are with things that are common, that are frequent. Adam ba'adam delo shchicha lo avdinan shlichutahu. But a person injuring a person, which is not a common case, and we talked a little bit about what this means, but we'll say for now, not a common case, they cannot adjudicate. Maybe because each case is different, you can't say that it's common because it's not like the same thing happens again and again. It's a slightly different case every time because each person is different, and so each case is a little bit different. Okay, we'll stop there.